Hello, Internet, and welcome to my live reaction for Eden Zero, Chapter 139. When we last left our heroes, the Imperial Army had come to Sandra, had attacked Oasis, and Oasis fought back in a really good battle. There were some good action highlights for basically the entire cast, or at least all the good guys. The villains were all sort of, you know, faceless soldier types. But it ended with a real nice sit down between Goodwin and his Imperial prisoners, where he kind of explained that while he hates the Empire, that doesn't mean he hates the soldiers, and that the war, will just lead to more and more death, but that doesn't mean they can just give up and let the Empire walk over them, which is why he's fighting. But after the war is over, he wants to, get a drink with the former soldiers. Meanwhile, Nero expresses to Fabiano his desire to just follow the dice, and even if the Empire falls, is the important thing. Nero will still win if he follows the dice. What exactly that means, what winning means without the Empire, what exactly are Nero's goals, has not quite been explained yet. But meanwhile, on Nero 66, Shura and the rest of the Oceans are all kind of lounging around in a pool when a racer of the Oracion Seis Interestelar attacks Nero 66. So yeah, let's jump right on into Chapter 139, White Flash. Our cover picture here is Zhao Mei, giving us a bit of a rundown on where everything is right now. With the line, "The battle is about to begin." We see Shiki, the Eden Zero, and Goodwin on Sandra, with Shiki's goal of being, we're going to stop Shura. Justice and Jaguar are following after Eraser, which I think is new information there. The Justice and Jaguar are on the way. But Eraser got there first, and he's fighting Shura, who's on Nero 66. I'm gonna bust up all the bots. Shura says, well, Nero kind of sits on the temple. I will do nothing. And there's a growl sound effect there. We also have Elsie and Ziggy, whose whereabouts are unknown. Elsie, where is Ziggy? And Ziggy, I'm just going to take Nero's empire. Alright, so all that being said, let's jump right on in with the airspace above Nero 66, with Eraser's fleet of 250 ships faces Shura's fleet of 3,200 ships. Okay. And Justice is having a video chat with him. Eraser, have you lost your mind? You are to do nothing until we get there. And Eraser is talking to both Justice and Jaguar, kind of mocking them. It's your own fault for being so darn slow. And Justice snaps, just don't do anything until I say so. Jaguar is silent through all this. But Eraser kind of mocks him. Until you say so? That's not how this works. There's no chain of command in the Oracion Seis Interestelar. We each have the authority to make our own judgment calls. Remember? And Justice kind of, which is, honestly, that's not exactly a super intelligent chain of command for a government, but I guess it's what they kind of got. And Justice counters, you are fighting the Aoi Empire, the biggest organization in the Oracion Seis Galactica. But Eraser snaps back, I'm not fighting Nero himself, it's his punk kid. Besides, he's not the scariest member of Galactica that I know. And there's some foreshadowing. The first bit of info on the fourth member of the Galactica, given that I'm assuming he's not talking about Elsie or Draken, who's kind of, I don't think he's quite dead, but at least an old man, unless my DJ Zombie being alive theory turns out to be right. But anyway, Jaguar asks him, what are their forces looking like? And Eraser responds, 3,000 ships on their front line. About 10 times the size of my fleet. I have no way of knowing how many ships are hiding behind them, or how many are waiting on the planet's surface. And Jaguar just kind of thinks about it for a minute. But Eraser cuts him off. Don't worry about it. It's fine. I'll have erased them all, before you even arrive. That seems to be a hint to his ether gear. But we'll see. As we cut to Nero 66, as Shura and I think that's Ijuna, the secretary, are walking after Shura has received the report about the invaders. So, who's the intruder? One of the Oracion Seis Interestelar. Eraser, the White Flash. And Shura kind of grins. White Flash? Stupid name. And he walks into like a command room, like a bridge of a ship. Maybe he's on a ship, but I'm not entirely sure. And all of the troops in there all salute. And the man I'm guessing is the captain turns to him. All of our troops are in position. Excuse me. They'll never break through our defenses with a fleet that small. And Shura just like takes like the commander's chair, I guess, and like lounges on it, props his feet up on the desk, whatever. Just shoot him down and stuff. And the captain gives a salute. Aye, sir. And then we come to the Interstellar Union Army Commando Carrier Hot Eyes, which is the name of Eraser's ship. I'm curious if that's another, like a Fairy Tale Oracion Seis member reference, given Hot Eye was an Oracion Seis member in Fairy Tale. And I don't remember if we know the name of Justice's ship. Like, is it... Like maybe each of the Interestelar have ships named after the Oracion Seis of Fairy Tale. I'm gonna do a quick wiki search for Justice, see if I can find his ship name. No, he's commander of the ship. Oh, Angel Feather. Yeah. There's an Angel reference. Okay, so yeah, that's the second one. I don't know if we know Holy's ship yet. I doubt it, but maybe we do, or Jaguars. So yeah, maybe they are all kind of based on fairy tales or Oracion Seis. Maybe. We'll have to kind of wait and see. But I think Hot Eyes and Angel Feather are the only ship names we know yet. Anyway, interesting stuff there. If you're an old time fairy tale fan. Anyway, Eraser is in some kind of like. Looks more like a fighter than the command ship he was in earlier. And he tells his troops, all right, troops, we're going to break the enemy's defense fleet and land on the surface. Our goal is to defeat Shura and destroy the All-Link system. Let's go. And Shura's captain yells, fire! And both sides just start shooting at each other. We see explosions light up the space between them. I think that's just their lasers like hitting each other. But it's a really cool look with like the ocean on both sides of the ships. It's really neat. But yeah, we're starting to see ships get blown up. I'm not quite sure I think there might be ships on both sides. Both Eraser and Shura's. And one of Shura's soldiers, not Shura, Eraser's soldiers tells him, Block 4's been hit. Block 27's shot down. There's too many of them. And Eraser just tells him, don't let him scare you. I'll cut us a path. And then we just see more explosions on both sides as Shura like lounges in his chair and watches the battle from like a view screen. And he's just kind of laughing, like giddy. This is awesome. Man, I wonder how many of them are dead. So we're seeing here again, Shura's just kind of an asshole. I read a theory on the Reddit, I think, that like Shura's big thing is his belief that everything in the Aoi cosmos belongs to him, and that he doesn't really care if they're destroyed. And I'm curious if that's kind of tying into his actions here. Maybe? I don't really know. Anyway. The captain kind of turns to Shura. We've suffered casualties on our side as well, but their eradication is only a matter of time. And Ijuna just kind of, like, looks silently. Or no, I think it's the captain looking at Ijuna. And then Ijuna looks at him. Yes? Oh, well, this is the command center, so His Highness's, consort shouldn't... I feel like there's a bit of a misinterpretation about Ijuna's role here. And then Shura stops him. It's not a problem. Ijuna is my secretary. But the captain says, but didn't she used to be... Okay, so that's an interesting thing. Ijuna was originally Shura's consort, I guess. And then Shura looks at him, yo. And then he floats him with his Satan gravity. I said, she's my secretary. And then he starts to, I think, kind of, it feels like a forced choke. The way he kind of, So I guess he's like pressing gravity onto the captain's throat as Ijuna sort of watches silently. And Shura taunts him, who do you think you are? Huh? The captain sputters out, p- please spare me. My daughter's wedding. Next week. And Shura responds, like I give a damn. You're a grunt. Grunts are supposed to shut up and do what they're told. You want me to show you what happens to people who insult the ruler of the Aoi cosmos? And he just kind of, not just like a choke, he just kind of maybe explodes even? I mean, I said it before, Shura is not really my favorite character. He comes across as sort of almost edgy for edge's sake. But an interesting note here, well, A, it's going to be really satisfying to see Shura get decked in his eventual fight with Shiki. But B, the thing that's actually interesting here, is the fact that he refers to himself as the ruler of the Aoi cosmos. Or, hold on, because the person that the general, which we see on the next panel I haven't gotten into yet, but the soldiers call him general, not captain like I was assuming. But the person the general insulted was Ijuna. You know, he calls her his consort, which is the actual insult that leads to the general's death. So what does that mean? That, like, I'm almost certainly looking too deep into this. But could Ijuna be something special? Could Ijuna somehow be, like, the secret puppet ruler of the Aoi cosmos? I'm almost certainly wrong here. But it's an interesting word choice Shura picks for, like, unless, the more obvious implication is that somehow calling Ijuna his consort instead of his secretary is insulting Shura, and Shura views himself as ruler already. That's the most likely interpretation. But honestly, that maybe it's a translation error, but something about it doesn't quite feel right. I don't know. We'll see as the series goes on. General! And all the soldiers kind of freak out. And Shura just laughs. That's what Mr. White Flash is gonna get too. And then he kind of sits back. This show doesn't have enough fireworks. Can't we just wipe them out with a big-ass battleship? Yes, sir. Right away, sir. And then we cut back to the battlefield. There are more explosions, and some of the IUA guys, and IUA soldiers, large battleship approaching, straight ahead. And we see this, like, octopus-looking ship sort of approaching the IUA front lines. It's a Kraken-class cruiser! One of the Empire's capital ships! Okay, that's a thing. A little phallic, but it's a thing. And from its sort of tentacles, it fires a bunch of laser beams at the IUA. It's firing a high-energy laser beam! And just then, they are wiped out by the blast of the Kraken-class shuttle. Shuttle, right? Cruiser. Kraken-class cruiser. A lot there. And Shura just kind of, like, giddy. Yeah, baby, that was awesome! And then some more of the soldiers on the IUA side respond. 42 ships, just like that. That's powerful. And Eraser is kind of angry now. I'm sorry, my fallen comrades. Now my ether is finally charged. It's my turn. And his ether line comes down his left eye. His hair starts to turn white. Okay. So, I'm still a little confused. Like, sometimes it feels like Eraser is in, like, the bridge with the rest of the kind of, troops at the keyboards. I don't know the proper term for that is. But, also sometimes it feels like he's in his own little, like, fighter ship. I'm not quite sure at all. Hopefully we'll find... Oh, I was wrong both times. Because we see Eraser is just standing on the surface of the Hot Eyes, on the hull, in space. There might be some kind of ether shield protecting him. There's a little, like, circle thing just past him outside the ship. But either way, he's just sort of on the hull. And the Nero Empire troops see him. There's someone out there in space. It's Eraser. What in the cosmos is going on? And Eraser kind of he's like initially kind of guarding his face, and then he sort of unveils himself, and we see from his outstretched hand, he's not holding anything, but a beam kind of extends from like the crease between his thumb and his pointer finger. You're gone. And then he just summons a laser beam and throws it at the Kraken. Huh? Just oh no, it's a bunch of like white lines appearing all through Shura's troops. What's happening? Where the ships and I think they just kind of fade out of existence. Like it's not an explosion. I think they just kind of stop existing. And the Shura troops, I think these are all on the ground of Nero 66, but they might be in ships that just haven't been hit yet. As they all kind of panic. Gah! The Kraken's disappeared. We've lost its signal. What happened to it? The ship, it vanished into thin air. Now we are back on the ground with Shura and Ijuna. Wait, it wasn't just the Kraken. Every ship in our fleet is being erased. And Shura looks on. Well. And we see Ijuna just kind of standing dramatically on the hull of his ship as he just says, I will erase everything that stands in my way. There's far too much dust on this canvas. Like full page, like full body shot of Eraser, who looks, I'm trying to get a read on what exactly is going on with his clothes, because he looks kind of like nude from the waist up. We can clearly see his abs, though I think Mashima might be a little bit unclear as to how far up on the body abs go, but that's a whole other discussion. But there's no seam as to where his pants would start. But he definitely seems to be wearing something on his lower half. I don't know. Either way, Eraser just has a really cool power as he just kind of disintegrates things. Like, it doesn't seem to be an explosion. Or maybe it is? The way they talk about it feels like it's not an explosion. It's just disappeared, it vanished. But the images we see behind Eraser look to be like explosion like balls, I think. Either way, we then leave the Battle of Nero 66 to come back to the space above Sandra with the Eden Zero and an Oasis battleship. As Goodwin, I guess, is kind of listening to the news. Looks like the government started a shootout with Shura's fleet on Nero 66. We didn't ask for the help, but we'll take it. So yeah, it seems both sides are gonna go join, or not both sides, but both Eden Zero and Oasis are headed towards Nero 66 to join the fight. We can weave through their defenses and head to the planet's surface. Shiki agrees, yeah. And Goodwin continues, we'll beat Shura and destroy the All-Link system. You folks coming with us? And Shiki just looks up at him and grins. Yeah, we'll fight them together. And the two ships head towards Nero 66 to protect the Aoi Cosmos and save the androids. Eden Zero, full speed ahead. And that is where our chapter ends. Okay. A lot of good here, a lot of not so good. My big problem, or a little bit of not so good. My big problem is a problem that's kind of been on the edges for a while, ever since that scene in Foresta where he first met Shura, is that I just don't like Shura. He just feels a little bit edgy for edgy's sake. And like that might have been something I was into when I was like 14. But not so much anymore. He's just kind of, I mean, admittedly, on the plus side, it will be very nice when, like I said earlier, when Shiki finally punches his fucking face in. But until then, he's kind of more annoying than he is, intimidating, honestly. He's just kind of an annoying asshole. Like his whole just like killing the general, for a single insult, is just sort of, I don't know, it's just something that I was not on board with. And this might just be me as an individual. It's not a kind of story beat I like. And it's more that I just don't like that kind of story beat than it is actually bad. But either way, it kind of rubs me the wrong way. And the way that last chapter just really didn't. Last two chapters were just like firing on all cylinders. This chapter doesn't quite click the same way with me. Either way, Eraser is definitely cool, and I want to see more of how exactly his powers work. If there's anything more specific to it than just white beams of erasure. I don't know. I feel like there's something really cool there, and I want to see how. I want to see more from Eraser. Um, but yeah, it looks like Shura might be sort of joining the fray. I'm kind of curious about the line, well, Shura says as he watches. Like, is that him just saying, that's actually kind of cool, Mr. White Flash, or is he saying, it's about time for me to join the fray? Or at least get the oceans in on the fight, at the very least. I really don't know, in all honesty. We'll have to kind of see how all that goes. One more thing before I touch on the end. I'm curious what y'all's thoughts are on the General's dying line. Please spare me my daughter's wedding next week. Is that a kind of like the attempt? The attempt is obviously to give him some characterization, give him some sympathy before he dies. What I'm not quite sure if I think it works. It sometimes kind of feels like a very slapdash version of the thing that Tokyo Ghoul did, where right when it would kill a villain, it would like tell you why they were actually, not as evil as as you thought they were, or whatever. Like especially when we saw at the beginning of Ghoul, Mato's glove removed after Toka has killed him, and she sees the wedding ring, and that kind of thing kind of permeates all of Ghoul, in my opinion. As I recall, it's been a while since I read Ghoul. But anyway, I'm curious if y'all think that works in the same vein in this chapter, because it feels, it's so slight. It's so, like, thrown in. It's a single line right before Shura kills him. That I'm not quite sure it works as well as maybe Mashima wants it to. But I'm not entirely sure one way or the other. Anyway, then we see that I guess the Sandra arc is officially kind of closed. As we have left Sandra. It's a shame. I thought Sandra was a really fun world. I also just really, really love the Camelish. And I hope the Oasis battleship has at least one Camelish on it. I think Goodwin writing a Camelish is just a cool thing you should keep on doing. But yeah. Goodwin and Shiki are going to go join the battle of Nero 66. And I'm excited to see what comes of them. And see what will happen now when Shura and Shiki finally meet. And Shiki can bash his fucking face in. So yeah, I'm gonna leave this video off here. Hope you all enjoyed the chapter and the video itself. If you did, feel free to drop me a like or subscribe. Do whatever makes you happy, And remember, your life is your own, okay? Bye!